It's recording. I see it.
Okay, great.
I'm Carissa. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Buckeye Police Department. And so today we're talking about LPRs, right?
Yes. And AI technology and all this fun stuff of the future. It's almost like a sci-fi movie, isn't it? Where all this new technology and you at one time you used to hear about these things and now cities are able to actually do them. So it's kind of a new frontier in a way.
Well,
So
technology is a big part of what police departments are using these days in order to maintain high standards of service. I can tell you here in the city of Buckeye, if you may not know anything about Buckeye, we are growing at a rapid rate of speed. And so the Buckeye Police Department is always looking for ways that we can utilize new techniques to maintain the high level, the high standards of service that our community expects and deserves.
yeah, you bring up a really good point. I know Buckeye and Goodyear are two of the fastest growing cities in the entire US right now. And that has to be a challenge for you. How do you keep up with all that growth? I mean, you can tell just driving around, there are so many more people here than there have been in the last 5, 10, and I've been here for 20 years. So it's really pretty amazing. Is that a challenge on your end to try and keep up with that rapid growth?
Well, the way that us here at the Buckeye Police Department are working to keep up with growth is to always be planning for the future. So in the fall of 2021, we had a discussion with our Buckeye City Council about what is our plan, our public safety plan for maintaining, again, those standards of service, even as our city continues to grow. We're welcoming new retail, new commercial districts, new housing developments as well. And so we have to find those measures. So after that discussion, the city council did approve our future plan. And part of that was utilizing modern technology. In this case, what we're talking about today is the license plate readers, which are used to alert us when a stolen vehicle enters the city of Buckeye, or we're trying to locate a wanted person or a missing and vulnerable person.
So
Today,
let's talk about that. How are you using your technology? What are you specifically hoping to find? What are the categories of areas that you're looking for with those readers?
well, I can definitely describe some of the main reasons that we're using LPRs. So if you don't know how LPRs work, license plate readers, is they take a snapshot of the back of the vehicle where the license plate is visible. And those images, those snapshots are stored for 30 days. So when a stolen vehicle, for example, enters the city of Buckeye, an alert is aired to our dispatch and then communicated to our officers to assist them in locating that vehicle. I can tell you dozens of stolen vehicles have been located here just within the city of Buckeye.
So that is, I mean, I was wondering, like, how many stolen vehicles do you think you have in a month or even a week?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. We've had the LPR, well, the first few LPRs began going up in 2022. And so we've got a few dozen of these stolen vehicle recoveries. But the thing about LPRs that I think not a lot of people think about is that these LPRs have been critical in developing investigative leads for some pretty high profile cases, cases of violent crime and cases of missing and vulnerable individuals. In 2023 alone, LPRs helped generate leads in locating a woman with dementia who had driven off, even though her family had determined that that was not safe for her to do. We were able to locate her. It helped us in solving a 2023 homicide, armed robbery of a convenience store, and a very dangerous, violent home invasion. Just in 2024 alone, LPRs generated leads that helped us locate a missing child and helped us identify and locate a woman who was the victim of a very public domestic violence incident. Now, these are just the high profile cases, the cases that we have brought to the news and the cases that you can find on our social media pages.
So AI does have a very useful and positive purpose? And do you feel that you are really able to take advantage of those really good features of AI and the license plate readers?
So you keep using that term artificial intelligence, and I'm not really sure how that comes into play with a camera that's taking snapshots of license plate readers. So
Right.
I may not have the technology sense that you might be seeking in that. Again, license plate readers take a snapshot of the back of the vehicle where the license plate image is shown. And we've actually broadcasted, we've shared some of those LPR snapshots on our Facebook page, especially when we're looking for a missing or vulnerable person, a child or an adult. Some of those images we have shared on Facebook. It gives our audience a look at what that actual vehicle looks like. So if they see that post and they're sitting in traffic behind that vehicle, they recognize the actual vehicle, they recognize the plate, they're able to call in and tip us.
Okay. I know that Avondale, Litchfield Park, Goodyear, they're going to the flock cameras. You have the flock cameras as well, right?
So Flock is a brand
Right.
for license plate readers, and that is the brand that we are utilizing.
Okay. Is that like the most popular brand? I see they have like 4,000 cities on board and malls and churches and HOAs. Is that really kind of like the leader in that technology?
That would probably be a question for Flock, and I'm sure their sales team would love to say that they're the number one brand. You would not believe how many vendors there are out there that are selling programs and equipment for law enforcement related purposes. I just saw the town of El Mirage tweet something out yesterday about a different kind of program that they're using that is a Flock program. So I think they have a menagerie of law enforcement tools.
Okay. I know Glendale has a phenomenal real-time crime center, and I think Goodyear is trying to start forming their own. Do you have a real-time crime center in that sense, or do you have the pieces of it? How does that work in Buckeye?
Well, you're correct in saying that real-time crime centers are something we're seeing a lot of police departments here across the valley developing. And we have one in development because those license plate readers are almost kind of that phase one element of our real-time crime center. Once that is developed, it will be housed in our brand new 911 communication center, which will be located in downtown Buckeye. It's going to live in the same area where the dispatchers and the communicators do their work. So our vision for the real-time crime center is not just license plate readers, but traffic cameras and cameras that we have access to through partnerships with businesses and school districts.
Okay. Yesterday I was able to speak to, so I'm kind of a privacy buff. And
I
yesterday
know.
I was able to speak to the Electronic Privacy Information Center. They're called EPIC. And they did mention that sometimes these license plate readers are able to store and capture other kinds of data about people. Do you have any kind of processes in place, any kind of policies in place in Buckeye about what you store? And you had said 30 days.
That's right.
Do you have like a specific team of people that watch over that storage? Do you have a restriction of who is able to access that information? Do you have a process in place like that?
What I can tell you is that when a police department is looking at ways to provide public safety and protection for its community, it has to be operating within the parameters of the Constitution. And it also has to operate in a way that we are continuing to instill trust in our community. Trust from our community is absolutely essential. We can't do our job without them. So I also, with that said, I do want to say that we have policies here at the Buckeye Police Department in black and white about how that data can be accessed, when it can be accessed, and for what purpose. It is only to be used for law enforcement purposes.
Okay. Have you, and I'm just trying to be fair in my reporting. I know Litchfield Park has had a couple of incidents now where the plate readers had read the wrong plates, and people, at least 2 times, people had been detained. and that wasn't their plate, that they got that wrong on the reader. Have you had any incidents like that in Buckeye?
So I'm not aware of people being detained for license plate numbers.
Okay.
But what I can tell you is what a license plate reader does for a law enforcement agency like the Buckeye Police Department is provide an investigative lead. It is part of the puzzle of an overall investigation. So when we are alerted to a license plate number that may be connected to a stolen vehicle or someone that we are trying to locate, that is just an investigative lead. It's up to the officers and the detectives to follow up on that information and to make sure, is this matching? Is this matching the totality of the evidence that we have? So for us, it's a tool in our toolbox, and it's a puzzle within the greater puzzle, big picture, I should say.
So, so in 2021, you did go to council and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. This is what we have in our budget. You had an open conversation. Your council was able to ask questions about the technology. Is that kind of how your process is? You introduce it first before you put it in? And then do you go back to council and say, hey, can we have more money for more technology or more things that we might need? Is that kind of your step? You go to council first, get the approval, and then go forward with that?
Well, that was the process with this plan, is we were expected to come up with a public safety plan for today and years into the future. Again, we are always looking at that rapid growth here in Buckeye, and so we have to make sure that we are pacing with that growth. As far as the overall plan for budgeting, I have to tell you, I'm not super familiar with that process.
Okay.
But in this case, this was presented to the city council in a workshop as part of a larger presentation for our public safety plan.
And so they signed off on it before you installed it.
Right, it's approved, the plan's approved, and the budget is approved.
Okay. AI is really AI and the technology, the license plate readers. It's absolutely fascinating. Is it kind of fun to use? Is there a learning curve with it?
Well, at the Buckeye Police Department, whenever we have a new tool that we are using to provide service to our community, training is absolutely essential, right? We have to get it right, and we have to get it right every time. The community trusts us to do so. But I will say is that as the years go on, the reliance on technology becomes larger and larger. Why? Because we can't have an officer at every street corner. As much as some members of our public would like to see that, some really don't. And so we need to use technology and other measures to multiply our efforts so that we can provide those eyes and ears and provide the protection that the community expects.
The security of the officers and the security of the people is really, really important. Is there a fine balance with the privacy of the people too? And you did mention the Constitution, that you stay within the Constitution and you respect that. Is that something, do you have those discussions about the privacy angle as well?
Absolutely. When these LPRs began popping up around the city of Buckeye, we were getting some questions. Hey, what are these? And so our job is to be as transparent as possible and let people know what these license plate readers are doing, and to let them know through reporting such as yours that these are capturing still images of the back of a vehicle with the license plate number. And these snapshots are not only helping us locate stolen vehicles and find a resolve for those victims of crime, but they're helping us locate wanted individuals, getting violent criminals off the streets, and bringing relief to a lot of families who have missing and vulnerable loved ones. We're able to help locate them. And so overall, the LPRs have been a big success for here in Buckeye. I can't speak for other jurisdictions, but it's important that we be transparent. It's important that we continue with our training. And again, being guided by those internal Buckeye Police Department policies that anybody can log on to our website and view for themselves. It's important to do that because, as we mentioned before, trust from the community is absolutely essential in what we do.
What is that web link so that I can check that
Yeah,
out?
you just go to the Buckeye Police Department website, and there's a blue menu in the center, and I think it says policies and procedures. And if you click on that, it will take you to a link where you can search all of the Buckeye Police Department policies about our uniforms, policies about how we maintain the vehicles, everything, all the way up to how we handle critical incidents and investigations, and even public information functions like the ones that I do.
Collaboration is so important, and I've seen that. I helped Goodyear win the All-America City Award back in 2008, and one of the reasons the city won that award, Goodyear won the award, is because of its ability to collaborate and make good, positive things happen in the community. So is crime fighting a useful tool in the West Valley? Do the cities come together when it comes to crime fighting?
Absolutely. If you follow any of the West Valley Police Department Facebook pages or Instagram pages, you may have seen our announcement recently about our speed enforcement task force. That's in addition to our DUI enforcement task force, task forces with the Marshal Service for violent offender apprehension. It is critical that we all work together. Some of our municipalities are still relatively small compared to Phoenix and some of the East Valley communities. So it's important that we work together, not only for the information sharing, but crime and criminals don't stop at jurisdictional boundaries. And so it's important that we're sharing information and that we're collaborating.
Anything new coming up in the future? Anything exciting with technology or crime fighting, anything like that? Anything you see on
Well,
the horizon?
We are again looking forward to the Real-Time Crime Center. It's going to have multiple elements. And what that Real-Time Crime Center is going to help us do is to get eyes, hopefully, on an emergency incident in the nick of time, to be able to get eyes on the incident and decide what is the safest way and the most efficient, best way that we can respond. Can we take measures immediately to keep the public safe? So, and how do we do so that our officers are safe? So we're really excited about what the Real-Time Crime Center is going to do for us and our community members.
Well, this has been fascinating. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you can think of that might be interesting in this conversation? Anything that we should add to the conversation?
I mean, you talked about collaboration. Law enforcement agencies are always trying to get better at the way that we share information. I don't know if you're a true crime fan, but if you watch true crime documentaries, you might have an individual who's committing crimes on one side of the country, unbeknownst to individuals investigating a similar crime a few states away. So information sharing is critical. We want to be able to share information, to tackle crime, because the community expects that from us. And again, as we move ahead, as we move forward here in the city of Buckeye, we're always going to be looking at ways that we can harness the power of technology to multiply our efforts while staying within the parameters of the Constitution and maintaining the trust of our community, as well as that public safety and protection.
I think that's so important. And remember years ago, it used to be if you see something, say something.
Sure.
Goodyear's former police chief, Rodriguez, he started saying, if you hear something, say something. Are we at that point too? Do you kind of have that feeling like if you know about something, if you hear about something, it's better to act on it than to say later, oh, I wish I would have done
Oh,
something.
that goes without saying. You have no clue. With so many cases, a variety of different cases that we have managed here at the Buckeye Police Department, where we're just like, oh, if only they would have called us. when they had that inkling, when they had that gut feeling, or they called us when their mom with dementia takes off in the car. Don't waste a couple of hours looking for her. Ask the experts to do it. We have those tools and the team to do that. I think it was last summer that we rolled out our online tip service, and you see a lot of different departments have those online tip services because they allow people to submit whatever it is, suspicion that they might have, all while remaining anonymous. And so that's important when you have crimes where people are afraid of retaliation, or they're afraid of being identified for whatever reason. So it's definitely important to speak up. And again, with that tip service, we receive information that might seem pretty small to the person who's reporting it to us, but they're allowed to remain anonymous, and just let us take it from there.
And then, sorry, one more question.
Sure.
In Glendale, the real-time crime center up there, they have now plugged into the schools and the school cameras.
Mm.
Just as another layer of school resource officers, all of that. Is that something that Buckeye might do, is start to collaborate with the schools and bring that
Right.
into your real-time crime center?
So two things with that. When we unveiled the online tip service, one of the things that we wanted that tip service to be helpful for was people reporting online social media threats involving schools. That's number one. So people can report that, they can choose to remain anonymous, but they're also able to screenshot the image and send it to us and let us begin that investigation. Two, is with the real-time crime center, we are hoping to be able to partner with school districts so that if an emergency happens within the school, we can get eyes on that emergency. If there's an active shooter, we want to make sure that we have the best information possible about where that shooter is, where are they on the campus, what is the best way for our officers to approach or engage that shooter, and what are the best ways to evacuate the campus. So that's part of the larger school safety discussion that we have with school administrators all throughout the Buckeye area. And so that's kind of part of our vision for the Real-Time Crime Center, is to be able to handle a serious emergency threat within our schools in just a matter of moments.
I know the Agua Fria Union District, high school district, has had a phenomenal um, program there to increase safety and security in their schools. So years ago, I used to work with the Liberty Elementary School District and the Goodyear Police Department. And those partnerships, that collaboration, communication is really important between the schools and the police departments. Do you feel that that's just an ongoing process that gets stronger every year?
So I can say that Agua Fria, some of their Agua Fria schools are within the Buckeye jurisdiction, and we have 2 school resource officers assigned to Agua Fria School District schools. So we have Officer Miklas over at Canyon View and Officer Ellison over at Verado. Those communications, those collaborations are so essential. And just as a public information officer, I do coordinate with their team quite a bit with sending out safety information and really going through kind of like table workshops about how do we get the right communications out at the right time if an emergency happened at that particular school.
Well, thank you so much for all you do.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Thank you
since
for taking the time to get the answers. I know that privacy rights are a concern that every American should have and should take seriously. The Constitution protects those for us. And so we definitely understand that there may be concerns about license plate readers. So I think it's important to get the facts and to get the right information. And we appreciate anyone who helps us do that.